Let's do this. We're gonna 3, 2, 1, watch.
The Doom franchise is full of action and filled with monsters and a slayer who never backs down. In this video, we're diving deep into the entire Doom storyline. This video is a full compilation of the stories from Doom 1, Doom 2, Doom 64, Doom 2016, and Doom Eternal.
Okay, that's a
all
lot.
Of which we covered previously. As a bonus, we've also included the story of Doom 3. That makes this the definitive Doom story breakdown.
Okay.
A must-watch for anyone looking to understand the full story before Doom: The Dark Ages arrives.
Okay, this is awesome. Let's go. Let's watch this.
Here's how we're going to break it down. First, we'll cover the classic trilogy, Doom 1, Doom 2, and Doom 64. Then, we'll move on to the modern era with Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal.
Okay.
And finally, we'll wrap things up with Doom 3 as a bonus edition to complete the picture.
All right, let's do this. I remember playing old games like this, specifically the Duke Nukem games.
Back when id Software was still independent and
1,
fresh
2, and
off the
64.
success of
Okay.
Wolfenstein 3D, it began work on a new engine and a new title. The goal was fast-paced action in a futuristic setting with more gore and a much darker atmosphere. Though originally planned to have a deeper plot, those were stripped away for the sake of pacing and near-constant combat.
Really?
It starts on Mars, in a
I would
facility
not
set
known.
up by Union Aerospace Corporation, while players control a relatively unknown Marine. While things seem uneventful enough,
I actually never really played the old Doom games. I played the old Duke Nukem games, which were kind of similar to these, right? In the way that not the. I mean, it's gameplay wise, I guess.
the UAC has been experimenting with teleportation, causing demons
Rika, what
to
up, man?
invade the dimension.
Are you excited?
They strike Phobos,
We're
Mars'
gaming,
larger
dude!
moon, causing the Marine to venture out with a squad and answer a distress call on its base. Unfortunately, the team is decimated, leaving only the player to complete the mission, kickstarting the game. Battling through various facilities from the base's nuclear plant to mission control and central processing, the Marine arrives at the anomaly where two Barons of Hell await. Despite overcoming both enemies, there's still no path home. Unlike Phobos, the forces of Hell have begun warping their surroundings, resulting in lava, flesh walls, blood pools, and other environmental anomalies. New demons also stand in the Marine's way as he ventures to the next big bad, the Cyber Demon. Victory is obtained in short enough order,
The Cyber Demon.
meets the Spider Demon, who mastermind everything. Of course, the Marine emerges victorious with some help from the BFG 9000. Unfortunately, this is only the beginning of his troubles, as the demons have invaded his home planet, which leads to Doom 2.
Really, huh?
The world is
Okay.
in ruins, and there isn't much to do but lock and load. Doom 2 ventures across 30 levels. The remnants of humanity plan to abandon the planet through the starport. It's easier said than done thanks to the enemy guarding it, but together with other soldiers, the Marine breaks through, allowing the rest of humanity to escape. He also discovers that the demonic forces have been emerging from his hometown, and upon slaying them, a new path to hell is discovered. There's only one way to close it. Naturally, the Marine pulls it off. Earth, or what's left of it, is saved.
Of course, because
Now
I'm
seems like a
epic.
good time to talk about what was new in Ultimate Doom and involved Tim Willits, who's since gone on to become Chief Creative Officer for Saber Interactive of Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2 fame. It provides a bit more context on how the forces of Hell
Yo, what's up, Angel? What's going on, man?
The events of Doom 2.
It's CBT
As it
after
turns
dark,
out,
dark,
this
dark,
was the work of the Spider Mastermind. Though the Marine battles through a city full of demons, it's not enough to stop them from overrunning the Earth. You also have Final Doom, which added new content, each with 32 levels. TNT Evolution and the Plutonia Experiment. After all the chaos wrought by the UAC's experiments, you would think they'd dial.
You know, watching these old games, like, really, it brings into perspective how far the FPS genre has come. Honestly, it does. This was awesome back then, but I'm looking at this right now, and I'm like, okay, I would like to play it for nostalgia's sake, but I don't really want to play a game like this anymore.
Dial it back and not try to mess with Hell's forces. Alas, the experimentation begins anew. In TNT Evolution, the corporation tries their luck on Jupiter. However, when a gateway to Hell opens, the attached squad of Marines handedly disposes of them. Things are seemingly on the mend for the UAC, until one of its ships is revealed to have emerged from Hell, with demons laying waste to their entire base.
Okay.
Away
I mean,
from the base on a
naturally.
walk and thus avoiding the initial onslaught, it's up to the Doom Marine to slay the demons once again. If only things ended there and humanity stopped messing with other dimensions, but alas. The Plutonia experiment sees the UAC under new management,
That shotgun is
despite
insane.
still having a base on Jupiter, it's now working at the behest of Earth's governments to forestall future...
Oh my god, that's Essie? No fucking way. Yo, how are you? It's been a minute. I hope you're doing great. Have you seen the latest news? If you haven't, go to my Instagram. Or actually, go to my Facebook, I think. How are you doing? I hope you're doing great. I actually played Doom and Quake recently. Really? Awesome. Yeah, right? Oh my god, no way. Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
These include quantum accelerators intent on closing gateways. Experiments attract the demons, and while a gate opens, it's also successfully shut. The forces of hell thus come up with a new plan. Open a ring of multiple gates at the same time. Despite closing off 6 gates, the 7th endures, and the demons thus pour forth.
No one cares to get over it? Shut the
overrunning
fuck up.
base While the gatekeeper stands guard.
Sorry, don't do that.
As you might have guessed,
I love you.
It's up to Doom Marine, who ventures into the base alone once more to stop the demons. He eventually succeeds, taking down the gatekeeper, and it's all happily ever after. Or it would be in another universe, but this. Instead, we arrive at Doom 64.
Okay.
UAC's facilities have been
So
abandoned
this one
due
looks
to their
better. Look at
radiation
this.
levels,
This looks great.
necessitating a quarantine. However, one satellite observes something and informs Earth's government. It's a being that's capable of bringing the demons back to life with its powerful healing abilities. Not wasting any time, the Doom Marine is called forth once more to defeat them. Except this time, the demons are ready. This results in the Marine being sent to Hell, the Doom equivalent of "I'm not locked in here with you," etc., etc., eventually obtaining a laser-based weapon that becomes the most powerful in the game. He confronts the Mother Demon, the new big bad, and
The Mother
defeating her,
Demon.
the Doom Marine decides to stay in Hell and combat the demons, ideally to prevent any further invasion plans. This would be the setup for Doom the Dark Ages, which then leads into Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal.
Okay.
However, in the 2020...
Yo, you guys want to play Doom 2016 and Eternal after we play the Dark Ages? Let me know. We can do that.
Port of Doom 64, id Software added a new campaign called The Lost Levels. It involves the Doom Marine taking on Resurrector, the sister of the Mother Demon. The latter banishes him out of Hell and onto an Earth base, but he eventually returns to wreak more havoc. The end message further cements the Marine's decision to stay in Hell, noting that Resurrector's plans had failed. Whether it's obvious or not, this is meant to segue
That would be
into
cool.
Doom 2016, though this would have
We
been
might do that.
before plans to develop the Dark Ages even began. The lore in Doom Eternal helped flesh out a few things, like the Slayer arriving in another dimension, and through various twists and turns, ended up joining the Night Sentinels to slay demons. It was only through trickery that he would end up sealed in a sarcophagus before Dr. Samuel
And that's
Heaton retrieved
2016.
it and
You came
brought
up
it
from
back
the
to Union
sarcophagus.
Aerospace Corporation's.
Wait. Do we know the ending now? Oh my god, we know the ending now, guys.
Mars base. But there's still so much more we don't know. Was the Doomslayer banished by the forces of Hell once again, as Resurrector had successfully done? Will he meet with Samur before his eventual journey to Earth and perhaps learn more about his intentions?
Spoilers,
Will he
yeah.
experience events
Fuck.
like the betrayal faced by the Night Sentinels, leading to an all-out battle for survival in Hell? Perhaps we'll get to experience all these events, which granted the Slayer his title, and the battle against the Titan chosen as the Demon's champion, who also faced his demise.
Wow.
There is plenty of room to explore other interesting events, perhaps providing more details on King Novik.
Dude, that's gotta be us, dude. That's gotta be
We may
us.
even experience
Oh my
a
God,
fateful
that's
battle
so
in
good.
the Blood Arena, which led to the Slayer impressing them enough to provide further training, which led to his joining the Sentinels. It may be a bit anticlimactic if the game ends with him sealed in the sarcophagus to set up the events of Doom
Yo, thank you for that
2016, but who
gift
knows?
sub. Appreciate
Between
that.
Piloting an Alton mech to beat up giant
Appreciate that,
demons
brother.
and participating in airborne battles with a dragon mount, there may yet be a climactic battle to close things out.
Oh, you want me to
Campaign
do a
DLC
gift
is
sub?
also in the works,
Okay.
which could serve as the true bridge between the titles.
How do I do this?
Let's now move to the next part.
You are rage, brutal, without mercy. But you will be worse.
Rip and tear until it is done.
id Software started Doom with some of the
you
hardest
go.
lines ever written in a video game, and nothing had happened yet. To further
do
set
it?
the stage for what was to come, the 2016 soft reboot.
There you go.
slash
I got it.
sequel
I got it. Shut the
didn't
fuck. I got
have
it, bro.
any pre-release reviews. No one knew what to expect, and given the reputation of Bethesda Softworks, at least when it came to such embargoes, there was skepticism. It all came crashing down with that first glory kill, the first satisfying
You're welcome.
crunch.
Thanks,
Immediately, it was
Rika.
apparent that Doom was something special and, above all else, back. The journey had been long for the Doom Marine. When we last left off, he had returned to Hell to take down the Resurrector,
Yep,
wreaking
okay.
havoc on all demons before finally emerging victorious. After
But these
everything
looks like
that
human,
happened,
though.
the invasions of Earth, the constant transgressions of demonic forces, the Doom Marine reaffirmed his plan to stay in Hell and make the lives of its many nefarious denizens that much more painful.
Damn. That's
After
a lot
an
of
unknown
enemies.
period, however, he ended up back in our dimension on Mars, albeit sealed for who knows how long. Unbeknownst to him, the Union Aerospace Corporation, UAC, was up to its old shenanigans harnessing Hell's energy. What began as a mission to provide energy to Earth spiraled horribly as the facility staff dabbled in the occult and even ventured into Hell to capture demons and modify them. They also brought back a mysterious sarcophagus,
almost time, guys.
which was found in a tomb littered with various incantations and held in place, almost like someone wanted whatever was within to not escape under any circumstances.
Responsibility for the horrible events of the last 24 hours, but you must understand.
I think this was Eternal, right? This part?
World was purely for
I'm a little lost.
mankind. Everything has clearly gotten out of hand now, yes. But it was worth the risk, I assure you.
Damn.
While Samuel Hayden, an
Has to be-
android
yeah,
later
that
revealed
was
to be
Eternal.
housing the mind of a
This
UAC
is Eternal right
scientist
here.
and, well, something greater, ran the facility, another key figure was Olivia Pierce. As head of biomechanical research and Hayden's protege, she covertly worked with demons to allow them to invade the facility. The overall goal was humanity's subjugation, again, with the forces of Hell ultimately breaking through to our dimension. When this happens, much of the staff, even those subservient and welcoming of the demons, are brutally killed. Things are quickly thrown
Wow,
into disarray,
they killed
and
them
it
all?
seems that the demons will finally succeed. That is, until Hayden awakens the contents of the mysterious sarcophagus. After killing some low-level
is
possessed
me.
demons and retrieving his Praetor armor, the Slayer resumes his initial mission, to wreak havoc across Hell and all its demons.
If he awakes, it could jeopardize the entire mission, for he is the only one who can stand against them.
Of course, Hayden
Dude,
won't leave the Slayer
Doom
to his
Eternal
own
was
devices
so
that
good,
easily,
and Doom,
especially when the latter starts destroying equipment for refining energy, the same harvested from Hell. To receive more details
2016,
and
they were
ultimately
so
stop
good.
Pierce, the two start working together with Vega, an AI running the facility, providing support for the Slayer and even facilitating upgrades for the Praetor suit. Eventually, the Slayer catches up with Pierce, who ventures to the facility's tower for her final gambit.
She's all fucked up.
Opening a rift to Hell by detonating an accumulator device. The tower is subsequently destroyed and the Slayer is teleported back to Hell, which is the textbook example of, "You're locked in here with me," as he begins stomping through the realm slaying demons of all shapes and sizes. His trip is short-lived though, as
well,
eventually
you
he
haven't played
returns to
them?
Mars and meets
Yeah,
up with Hayden
these
in
games are really
person.
good. I like them.
Upon receiving a device to help with teleportation, which certainly won't come back to bite him, the Slayer is instructed to find the Helix Stone, an artifact that offers more information about the energy source. The energy source is ultimately what's powering the portal, letting the demons run
I'm
amok.
definitely gonna.
Shut it down, and the
I
Slayer
think we can do
halt their
that.
advance. However, it also tells him of a weapon called the Crucible. It's back in Hell, so in the most sensible of plans, he kills a cyber demon, takes its accumulator, and ventures
Ooh, look
back.
at him.
Several dozens
In
and
full
dozens
HD
of
now.
dead demons later in the Titan's realm, and the Slayer retrieves the Crucible. With the weapon in hand, the next step of the plan is to venture to the energy source. The only way to do that, unfortunately, is by sacrificing Vega. The Slayer goes to the facility housing the AI, destroying the servers and cooling infrastructure before finally going to the core and triggering a meltdown. Before Vega's untimely demise, the Slayer makes a backup of it. While it doesn't mean that Vega lives once more, it does open the door for its eventual return in the future.
He backed up himself, right?
Thank you, Vega.
Yeah, there you go.
The destruction of the core offers enough energy to open another portal, this time sending the Slayer to the energy source. With the Crucible's power, he proceeds to destroy it and shut down the portal. However, he also runs into Pierce, who survived the explosion of the tower. She subsequently turned into the Spider Mastermind thanks to the demons, and they battle in hell before the Slayer emerges victorious. Once more, the demons have been stopped before they could invade Earth. At least, that's what it seems like. The Slayer returns to Mars.
I'm not sure that image is what they wanted to put in there.
Harnessing the energy, he takes the Crucible for his own nefarious plans and sends the Slayer away. And thus, the story ends for now. When the UAC first discovered the sarcophagus and brought it back, they opened it to discover the Doomslayer in a sort of stasis. It's unknown how long he'd been sealed, but he couldn't wake up or even harm him due to some kind of barrier. They also dubbed him the Doom, all caps Marine, more or less confirming his identity as the same Marine from Doom 1 and 2 and Doom 64.
So we've been in a stasis for a long time at that point.
Removing the sarcophagus, with the demons displaying an instinctual ferocity previously unobserved. Almost like they knew exactly what was within and tried everything in their power to ensure it remained sealed inside. Which of course failed, and the rest is moot. Slayer's origins trace back to a time of unending conflict, molded by torment and driven by a deep desire for retribution. Rather than succumb to the horrors he faced, he transformed that pain into purpose. His relentless fury and strength eventually led him to a powerful warrior order, the Night Sentinels, where he earned his place among their elite rank, serving alongside those sworn to defend their realm and uphold its code. When you look back on the original Doom Marine who slaughtered demons relentlessly through sheer grit, it's worth wondering how he became the Doomslayer. Granted, the moniker was earned through his long-standing campaign against Hell's forces, thus cementing his legend. He came to embody the title over time, but it was only after encountering Samar that his campaign entered a new phase. Around that period, his speed and strength increased noticeably, further fueling his push against the forces of Hell. What followed was a period marked by vengeance, where the Slayer's name became etched in Hell's history, out of fear. Legends of his brutality spread as he tore through the demonic ranks.
It's funny how he shoots and he doesn't need to aim up. It does it automatically.
By executing foes in brutal fashion, the Slayer could instantly recover lost health, allowing him to stay in the fight even at death's door. And, for a brief moment, gain just enough invincibility to push through the chaos. What's particularly interesting is how many of the upgrades discovered in the game aren't innately tied to the Slayer. Instead, they're more focused on upgrading the Praetor suit and unlocking new perks, improving weapons, and fitting new mods to significantly alter them, and using runes for passive benefits.
I thought it was Praetor.
However, for all intents and purposes, regardless of the state of his equipment, Doomslayer is becoming stronger as he kills more demons. Such was his power that the demons were pushed back deep into Hell. Whether through sheer luck or by enlisting its aids, they would bring a Titan who came forth to challenge the Slayer. While they engage in a battle, eventually the Slayer emerges victorious and the Titan
Look at that guy with an axe.
To say that the forces of Hell were beyond desperate at this point
we killed some of these guys on the other game.
There's a point in the Slayer's long war across Hell where he may have received his signature armor. It was handed to him by a mysterious figure known only as the Wretch, a name deliberately kept hidden. Alongside the suit, he was also equipped with a powerful sword and shield, both described as nearly indestructible. This encounter appears to have taken place while he was moving across realms and timelines, suggesting that the armor might have been acquired even before many of his more well-known battles.
Dude, that's gonna be us, dude. Look at that.
Finally offer answers to where and when these weapons were truly forged. If this happened after defeating the Titan, then it would give more credence to the part about his growing power. It also paints an even more dire picture for the demons. If they couldn't stop the Slayer when he didn't have the armor or these new weapons, what chance would they have now? Eventually, the Slayer was baited by the demons. Upon his arrival, it was brought down and seemingly immobilized him long enough for sealing in the sarcophagus. The mark of the Slayer was engraved upon it, and thus, he was trapped within the tomb for an unknown number of years. Then, one day, Samuel Hayden and the UAC's expedition uncovered the sarcophagus. Of course, there are a lot more details to go through to properly trace the story back to the Dark Ages. For example, in the UAC report about the Doom Marine, the Slayer's sarcophagus was originally kept at Lazarus Labs. It would eventually go missing, and it was believed that Hayden had moved the Slayer's body and the Praetor suit. The reason is unknown, but perhaps he knew exactly what the Slayer was. Maybe he knew of Olivia Pierce's pact with Hell and ready to trump card in case things went south.
We got about
we have
About
the Wraiths,
15
who played
minutes
an
left on
important
this.
role for the Night Sentinels and in their downfall. We will delve
This is
into it when
2016
covering the
right here,
story of
guys.
Doom Eternal.
Oh wait, is it?
While the Slayer had been
Maybe
sent
not.
away to who knows where, the threat of the demons hadn't waned. 14 years after the incursion on Mars, Hell's forces made their way to Earth and pretty much transformed it into a hellish wasteland with 60% of its population
Wait, maybe this is
dead.
the turn. I don't know. I
The
can't remember
corrupt
now.
agents are causing havoc. The UAC is pretty much a full-blown faction of Hell at this point, and the resistance movement known as the Armored Response Coalition, or ARC, the UAC is pretty much a full-blown faction of Hell at this point, and the resistance movement known as the
Ooh,
Armored
look at
Response
that.
Coalition, or ARC, isn't enough. However, just
Armored
when the
Resistance
forces of Hell
Coalition.
think they've won, somehow, the Doomslayer returns, ready to rip and tear once more until it's done. But that's a story for another
It's
time.
like they summon me every time they need me, you
2020
know?
Sequel, Doom Eternal.
Or Doom Guy, I guess.
When we last left the Doom Marine, now the Doomslayer, he had been teleported to somewhere by Samuel Hayden. While the fallout from the Spider Mastermind's defeat remained unknown, destroying the energy resource meant the portal would be shut and Hell's forces denied their invasion. The day was saved. How he would continue his campaign of vengeance against the demons is also a mystery. Of course, as the saying goes, somehow the forces of Hell returned.
The deceiver, Samuel Hayden, has fallen.
The Ark is no more.
The Ark is no more. Armor, what was it? Armor something coalition? Resistance coalition?
This area is no longer.
Years after the events
Yeah,
of
this
Doom
is Eternal,
2016,
actually.
it's revealed that they've taken over, killing a ton of people. The planet has become twisted and marred thanks to the demonic influence. Some left, cryogenically frozen in spacefaring lifeboats, but the governments and leaders who remained formed the Armored Response Coalition, or ARC. Though it's overwhelmingly outmatched by the demons,
Response
led by
Coalition.
3 corrupt agents and bolstered by the massive Thrall, the ARC continues to rebel. Behind the scenes, the corrupt agents, previously known as the Order of Dig, and the Forces of Hell worked with the collaborator Khan with the demons from Hell. While she controlled the Night Sentinels, which opposed the demons, the collaborator feared that someone would destroy her. Wanting to sustain her control, the collaborator would take any steps necessary. The Doom Marine would subsequently arrive on the scene and join the Night Sentinels, followed shortly by an attack by Hell's forces. To give them a fighting chance, Samur enhances the Marine to push to its maximum limit. This granted the Marine enormous strength, creating the Slayer, and allowing the Night Sentinels to defeat the demons. It was also a part of a larger ploy by Davath, as he was manipulated by the Khan and Samur, but we'll get to that much later.
Okay. Yeah, there you go.
3, 2,
You're just such a badass. You don't even need to
During all
talk, you
this,
know?
The collaborator eventually learned about Hell Essence. She would work with the Order of the Dag, who falsely claimed to serve the best interests of King Novik and the Night Sentinels. Further investigations into the demons revealed the truth of a unique energy. By using Sentinel energy from the source that empowered the Night Sentinels in exchange for protection and Hell's Essence harvested from human souls, that unique energy was formed. On the one hand, this energy could prove great power, even powering weapons like the Doomslayer's Praetor armor. However, it also meant conquering numerous worlds, killing endless numbers of humans, and harvesting their souls. Spurred by the desire for greed and wary of the Doomslayer, the collaborator would push for more energy. Eventually, she would form a pact with Davath, siphoning the energy for herself. The demons would subsequently have free reign over the collaborator's area, torturing humans and creating soul spires for energy. Eventually, the Night Sentinels would learn of these plans and wage war against Khan. The Night Sentinels were pretty much finished at this point, but
Wow, look at that-
hilariously,
look at that
Hell's
backdrop right
forces
there.
weren't victorious. That's because the Doomslayer continued doing what he does best, ripping and tearing. Not necessarily in that order, but effectively enough to instill fear into the demons. Despite everything they tried, it wasn't enough to stop the Slayer. If anything, he was becoming more powerful and more relentless. Thus, the demons did the only thing they could, laying a trap and sealing the Slayer inside of the sarcophagus, where he slept for an unknown number of years. Of course, Samuel Hayden and the UAC would discover him, and the ripping and tearing would begin anew.
That control pod contains the energy source of the BFG 10,000. I'm lowering it for you.
BFG 10,000. This is the real weapon right here.
Telling you he's on his way. I need you to.
Dude.
All that out of the way, we come to the start of Doom Eternal. The demons have laid waste to everything, and the Ark is out of its depths. Suddenly, the Slayer ventures forward, accompanied by Vega, or a copy of the original from the previous game. Wasting no time, he slays Dag Nilok's corrupt agent. Venturing further, he discovers Dag Renak's one of the corrupt's agents. Renak's demise causes the collaborator to step up her plans. Following Vega's advice, the Doomslayer locates Samuel Hayden, or at least his damaged body, in the Crucible. He then finds out Dave Grav's whereabouts. The Slayer takes down Dave Grav and Khan. The day may have been temporarily saved in Doom Eternal, but unfortunately, the demons aren't done by a long shot. The Slayer ventures out to find the Samur and learns that he's Samuel Hayden.
Well, now you're in here.
After
Now you're
planting
staying
the
here.
latter's consciousness into it. The Slayer then makes his way to Hell's Blood Swamps, but he finds the David's life sphere and takes it with him instead. The goal is to resurrect it and slay
he's right
him.
here. Come here.
This will kill all the demons currently outside of Hell and perhaps finally end their invasion once and for all. The Slayer ventures forward, taking out any opposition. After inserting the David's life sphere into the device, and what form he should take but the Slayer himself, he then invites the Slayer for a final showdown. However, the Slayer now faces another demonic invasion, but ventures forward. While he's seemingly alone,
wow, look at all these portals
arrive to back him up, signaling the start of a massive battle.
Wow.
The rest of the forces deal with the demons, while the Slayer eventually comes face to face with Davith.
It's cute.
The latter
Yeah, he's
then makes
awesome.
a shocking revelation. While he invaded other realms and fought the Khan's forces, he was defeated by one who took his role, and later became known as the AI Vega. He wanted the Khan to fail by using the Slayer, which caused her downfall. Of course, he also spurred Samur to turn him into the Slayer. All
He literally
of this
just opened
was
the door
for
again.
naught, though, as the Slayer would ultimately defeat Davith and put an end to the demons running amok outside of Hell. The Slayer would fall unconscious, however, since not only is he fueled by the unique energy, but also the Daviths. Afterwards, he would be sealed back in the sarcophagus.
So why do they keep sealing me?
Maybe
Or
he's
him?
being left to recuperate. Maybe he'll one day return and wreak havoc on Hell's forces once more. For the time being, however, the Slayer rests and awaits an unknown fate. Chapter 4. Bonus. Doom 3.
Okay, so this is completely
After
different.
the classic
What is
era,
this?
and before the franchise was reinvented with Doom 2016, id Software took a very different approach. Enter Doom 3, a game that emphasized horror over speed, atmosphere over aggression.
Okay.
Regardless of whether you like Doom 3 or hate it, another question emerged post-Doom 2016 and Eternal. Is it canon? Before we delve into that, let's outline the full
id
story, which
said
features,
anything?
surprise, surprise, the Union Aerospace Corporation, or UAC, up to no good once again. It's once again set up as a research facility on Mars, and it's conducting morally questionable experiments yet again. The player, an unnamed Marine, accompanies Elliot Swan, a UAC board member, and Jack Campbell, his hired gun. They arrive at Mars City and enter the UAC's facility to meet with Dr. Malcolm Petruger, who oversees the facility. Master Sergeant Thomas Kelly serves as the player's commander. After Swan and Petruger discuss various happenings at the facility in a less-than-friendly fashion, you're ordered to find a missing scientist. Venturing into Delta Complex, the Marine
they
finds
just
the
went to
individual
sleep 'cause they
attempting to
keep
warn
touching the
Earth
no-no.
about some teleportation experiments, just as
They needed
another
to save
goes
them.
wrong.
Yeah, I guess. They never learned. Definition of insanity, huh?
I'm getting abnormal readings here. This is bad. We can't hold these levels. We're losing it. Nope.
Okay, I would not play this game.
The Mars facility is impacted at once,
Too scary.
and as with previous entries, Hell's forces have crossed over. The Marine is thus caught in a battle for his life, as he must kill the personnel who have been turned into zombies and various demons. Upon arriving in Mars City, he's told to rendezvous with another squad and put out a call for reinforcements from Earth. To do that, he must obtain a card and use it in the communications facility.
Oh my
It's
God,
easier
those are
said than done
disgusting
with all the
monsters.
monstrosities roaming about, and if that wasn't enough,
Scary is
Swan
good?
also
Nah.
heading to the same location
Nah, look
to
at
ensure
this.
no communications
Nah.
leak about the invasion. The Marine meets up with the squad, but they're subsequently killed after an ambush by demons. The communications facility is also destroyed by Campbell on Swan's orders, but a backup system is available. It's here that the Marine can decide to inform Earth about the situation and send for reinforcements at Kelly's behest, or listen to Swan.
Oh, well, he's
Regardless,
dead.
the next step is Delta Labs, and it's revealed that Betruger is in cahoots with Hell's forces and wants reinforcements to arrive so that demons can spread to Earth. After escaping from an attempted murder by gas, the Marine ventures further into Delta Labs and learns that Betruger has been conducting expeditions into Hell. He also conducted a dig under Mars and discovered the remains of an ancient civilization. It's here that the scientists discovered the Soul Cube, which is meant for fighting against the demons. Betruger would thus deposit it into Hell, presumably to prevent anyone from accessing it and trigger the invasion. While attempting to capture Betruger,
I'm assuming
the
that
Marine
didn't
falls
work.
into a trap and is subsequently teleported to Hell. And though that's not the best news, it means he can now search for the Soul Cube. Upon obtaining it, he returns to Delta Labs via some leftover teleportation tech. The main teleporter is destroyed, and Swan reveals that Kelly is also in leagues with Hell's forces.
Everybody here is a fucking demon sucker.
Discovers him near death in the central computer processing sector. Kelly has gone full demonic and cybernetic while also wielding the BFG 9000 stolen from Campbell. Eventually, the Marine succeeds and obtains the BFG 9000. From there, it's a battle against the Cyber Demon. Using the Soul Cube to defeat it and seal the opening, the Marine has stopped the invasion of demons. For now, of course. While he survives and has to explain the carnage to the reinforcements from Earth, Betruger escapes to Hell and becomes a demon. Doom 3 would receive an expansion, Resurrection of Evil, and an additional mission, the Lost Mission, exclusive to the BFG edition. The latter is about the ambush squad from the base game, or rather its lone survivor who works with Dr. Richard Myers to destroy a teleportation array. The process involves collecting parts to activate the teleporter and then going to Hell. Once the array is destroyed, he returns, and the ending subsequently ties into Earth's reinforcements arriving at the facility. Resurrection of Evil, on the other hand, is developed by Nerve Software instead of id, and takes place 2 years later. Players venture to a UAC satellite after some strange occurrences and discover an artifact which the player can wield. Unfortunately, Hell's forces have emerged again. After meeting up with Dr. McNeil, who actually told Swan and Campbell about Betruger's experiments in the base game, thus setting up its events, he's told that the only way to stop this new invasion is for the artifact to return to Hell. This involves defeating the Hell Hunters, who unlock new powers with the artifact, and eventually Betruger, now transformed into Maledict. One rough battle later, and the player is eventually greeted by McNeil,
crazy looking.
telling him that he's returned home.
Marine?
That is actually crazy looking.
Marine, welcome home.
With all of this in mind, the question emerges once more. Is Doom 3 canon? It isn't necessarily canon, it is absolutely considered part of the Doom
skip
universe
this one.
per the developer, though. Of course, fan theorizing has continued since then. One popular
Have all the
theory
Dooms?
is
I
that
only
Doom
have
3 is just
the
an
new
alternate
ones.
dimension, one with its own standalone story that's nevertheless connected to the universe, or multiverse as a whole. The
You finished
multiverse
Total
as a
Zero?
concept was already established in Eternal. Hell has been on a quest to conquer the
It
world,
happens, Ben.
so the Doom 3 universe may just be another that it attempted to invade and fail. There are
That's
certainly
crazy.
questions
That one's
about
crazy
the hell
looking.
that the protagonists of Doom 3, The Lost Mission, and Resurrection of Evil ventured to, and how they connect to the locations that the Slayer ventured. We don't know the exact size and scale
hard
of
to
Hell,
stay
so
focused.
it's hard to say, but it wouldn't be surprising if another
You just shoot
reference is
shit, man.
tossed into Doom, The Dark Ages,
Oh, that's
to
true.
provide
There's a lot
the
of games.
vaguest of connections. Unlike other Doom titles, Doom 3 leaned into characterization, voice acting, and cutscenes. The action was slower paced, with a focus on darkness. Some levels were so dark that players had to whip out a flashlight to see, though they couldn't wield a gun as well. This atmosphere is further
so you have
accentuated
to
by
choose
the
between a
creepy
flashlight
sound
or a
design,
gun.
resulting in more of a psychological romp. Fans weren't exactly over the moon with all of this, especially the constant swapping back and forth between guns and the flashlight, which it amended in the BFG edition to mixed results.
Well,
Lo and behold, id Software would again abandon the approach with Doom 2016. There was lore to collect and some cutscenes, but it was all about the brutal, gory gameplay.
I'll be using this in a few hours.
Doom has had an incredible journey over the years. The developer looks significantly
Look at this
different
game.
than
This game
it
looks
did
so
more than
good.
21 years ago when Doom 3 launched. But it's incredible
Fix
how it's
lights
managed
to guns?
retain the overall gameplay
That's a good idea.
of the current Doom series without going too far off the rails.
If only that existed in real life.
With Doom The Dark Ages offering a return to the more grounded combat of earlier games, it should be interesting to see how it carries the narrative forward, even if we know where it leads. After all, this is likely the beginning of the Slayer's journey, laying the groundwork for everything we've seen in Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal. It ties everything together in ways that fans have been eager to see explored. That's all the story for Doom so far. And now, all eyes are on the Dark Ages to see how it deepens the everything and sets the stage for what's to come.
Here we go.
Hey, did you know that we at GamingBolt upload new videos every day? Stick around, drop a like, subscribe, and hit that bell. And let us know what kind of content you'd like to see in the future with a comment below.
All right, so that video was pretty good. It explained everything. I'm gonna be honest, I still don't know anything that happened in the series, so I'm just gonna have to play the game. That's how it goes, man.